Hey there folks, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're in the truck. And there's no RV behind us. You know, we just had a long drive today to run some errands, and we thought, you know what a good use of time in the truck.
Yep.
You're like, yep. Yeah, so we are going to continue on with our campground reviews because we really want to continue to populate our Route 66 playlist. As you may know, if you follow the channel, we have an ebook, and we'll put a link to, actually we'll put a QR code to that up right now, and then we'll also put it at the end, so just in case you miss it. But in this playlist, these are all of the places that we stopped along Route 66, and we're giving you our opinion on whether it's big rig friendly or not.
Yeah. We always try to do it with that in mind, big rig friendliness, and it just happens to be that these were the ones we saw on Route 66.
Yeah. Now this one is called, and it's kind of funny, at the top here I wrote, if you know, you know. And I'm like, because you know I take these notes a while ago, and we were there a bit ago. It was here in a minute. It wasn't last week. So this is Leisure Lake Member Resort, and so kind of like 1,000 Trails, there's a membership to this, but we were able to get in.
Yeah, it's not a private RV park, but if you so desire, you can get a membership there.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, and there were people that had memberships and came year after year. It was almost like it's almost like their summer home, right? Where they would either leave the camper there, or they would come back with their camper to the same spot every year and enjoy the summer or whatever they would do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the location of this, it is Joliet. It's the Joliet Shorewood, Illinois area, and I'm saying both of those because there was something about if we put one address in, it would say Joliet, and the other address would say Shorewood or something like that. I don't know, but they're like two neighboring.
Yeah, they're like right. I mean, we really were, I think, in Shorewood.
I think so too.
But anyway,
yeah,
there's a lot of towns that kind of do that.
Yeah. So when did we stay here? We were there July through August in 2024. This was the last stop for us on Route 66.
Yes.
Yeah. And honestly, it was our last storm shelter for Route 66. Not our last storm shelter for the year, but the last storm shelter. I know, crazy, right? The last storm shelter because of the weather. Yeah. Whoa. That looks nuts. We've never seen anything like that before.
We've seen storms like this, but we've never seen a tornado. I don't want to see one.
No, I don't want to see a tornado either. But that looks crazy balls. You know, and here we are in July and August, and so if you watched some of the other previous videos, you know that we started off in the spring. And you know, Mother Nature gets a little cranky in the springtime, and so you definitely have to look out for, tornadoes. But here it is, July and August, and we are trying to get out of the RV, getting over to the storm shelter.
Yeah, because, I mean, the night that we had to go to that storm shelter, that was pretty serious.
That was pretty serious. Yes, it was.
I mean, the tornado actually did touch down in, I think it touched down in Joliet.
It did.
Or I don't know if it touched down, but it certainly there was damage.
There was significant damage in Joliet.
There was tree damage. There was, I thought a building had lost,
a roof had come off. Yep.
So there was definitely damage. But we just felt the wind and the rain.
Yeah, and it was close enough to where that wind and that rain was not a game. I'll tell you, trying to get out of that RV, just trying to open the door to get out of the RV, and to try to open these car doors. These car doors are already heavy. You know, our truck doors are already heavy, and here we are trying to, with the go bag and the dog, trying to get into the RV. That was really something.
Yeah.
And by this point in our Route 66, this was the 4th storm shelter. Yeah, I think the 4th. Yeah, because it was Oklahoma, it was twice. Missouri, it was once.
And then Illinois.
And then Illinois.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. Yeah. So let's see. So RV Trip Wizard, we planned this trip on RV Trip Wizard and the research that you did. Yeah.
Yep, we did. I've used that from the beginning basically, and just love that tool. It's very easy to plan and figure out your route and set your criteria. How big your RV is, how long, what your preferred driving distances are, and it'll help you map all that out.
Make it so easy.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're affiliates with RV Trip Wizard. We'll put a QR code up here. There'll also be a link down below. If you click on if you grab the code off of the screen here, you'll get a 25%. I don't know what the discount is. I think it's 25%, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You get a discount off of your first year of membership, and you get a 7-day free trial. Okay, so access and road issues.
It's funny that something that happened so long ago, or when we were there so long ago, it all kind of floods back to you.
Yes.
And
I think we still have trauma from it.
Yeah, we might have a little bit of trauma.
I might have had some PTSD.
Yeah, the access, construction is all over the country. So
yes.
you can't really avoid construction. What would have been nice, though, is if we had, you call and talk to the RV parks every time before we go. So you ask these questions, and they know. I mean, they're right there. So it would have been nice if they would have just told us. But I think what they ended up telling us was there's 2 exits you can pick.
Yeah, you can take exit 2. Well, the thing that's crazy is, and I don't know who, I always ask, and I specifically ask, are there any road and access issues?
Right.
I mean, I specifically ask it that way. That means construction. Maybe I need to be more specific. That means construction.
No, I think you asked about construction.
I ask about all this stuff, and they're like, no, there's 2 exits that you can take. You can take exit 248, or you can take 251. Now, what you might see, or what you might remember from the start of the video, when we talk about the location of it, she popped a map up there. This was in between or at the junction, or the junction.
Kind of the intersection.
Yeah. Of 55 and 80.
I believe it was 55 and 80. We can confirm that. But
yeah.
2 kind of major freeways run right there through there, and the campground kind of is situated in one of the corners there of that intersection.
Right. Yeah. And so when I called the front desk, they were like, yeah, you can take either one of those exits. If you take exit 248, the turn coming off the freeway, will be an easier turn. If you take 251, it'll be a tighter turn, to get back to the campground. Nobody said anything about anything else. That's all they said.
Right.
So we decided, I don't remember what caused us to decide to pass 248 and go to 251. But once we got off at 251, there was a ton of construction. There was construction there, and the turn was a little tight on that one, but there was definitely a good amount of construction to navigate to get on what looked like a frontage road that would take you down to the campground.
Yeah, the construction, there was lots of cones. It wasn't completely clear which lane you needed to be in to make the turns. There was just a fair amount going on, but then, like you were getting ready to say, once you make the turn, now you're on like this frontage road. But all of a sudden, and you're pretty sure it's the frontage road you need to be on, but there's no signs.
There's no sign. Well, there was one little sign to the campground, but it wasn't at the part where this other signage became a problem. So when you first turned off the freeway, you saw the sign at the campground, and then as you went down further, you saw a sign that said no outlet, and then it said no trucks, and we're like, well, wait a minute, are we going in the right direction?
Right. Because at that point is that's where there were no signs.
Yeah, right.
We could have used at least one more sign.
One more sign here.
Because we had no idea. Now we're on a road that's over basically by an office area. There's warehouses, and there's no more signs telling us where the campground is. And you can't see it.
No, you cannot see it.
And we had to go over underneath an overpass that wasn't marked.
It was unmarked, and it was unclear how tall it was, and if we were going to clear our ACs. And I know it says no trucks, and we're not a truck, but we're about the size of a regular semi with the truck and the trailer and the height also. So I don't know. That was a bit.
There was three challenging things with access. There was all the construction.
Yeah.
There was the I guess the lack of signage.
Yeah.
And then
markings on that overpass.
And then there were no markings on the overpass.
Yeah.
So it was all just kind of it was not clear.
No, it was not clear. And the thing that's kind of annoying is I called. Now, what we later found out, because we were driving around, we thought, well, let's just go drive that 248 just to see what this was like and what they were talking about there. When we went to go drive the 248 exit, which was one of the ones they recommended.
This is after we're already there. We've already set up, and this is like maybe the next weekend. We thought, well, let's just go see what that 248 exit looks like.
Yeah, the road was closed.
Well, you could get off. That was the thing that was crazy. You could take the exit, and you could take the roads. This was a much more, I would say, rural exit. So there weren't any businesses. There were no warehouses. It was kind of more farmland. And then you got to a point where you wouldn't be able to have made a U-turn, but the road was completely closed.
Completely closed. It would have been nice if the people at the front desk said, oh, don't take 248 because the road's closed. So when I brought that to her attention, she's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. People are driving big rigs into this campground because I don't think you made this point, but when you did your research, this was the only the best option for big rigs.
This was the best option for big rigs given where we were trying to be for access to Chicago
and the end of Route 66.
And the end of Route 66.
Yeah. So net access and road issues, that was a no bueno.
No.
So the next one is the full hookup. Yes, they had water, power, and sewer. The challenge here was the water pressure. They were on a well system. No one seemed to know how it worked, and the water pressure was pretty variable.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of RV parks that are on well systems. This was not the first one, and I'm sure it won't be the last one.
That's right.
The challenge with this one was they didn't tell you that.
No.
So after I get the water hooked up and I'm turning on the water and it's not consistent with, maybe the previous place we had been, I'm calling down to the front office saying, hey, is there a problem with your water? And they're like, no. And I'm like, really? Because it's really
It's
low.
coming out like a trickle.
Oh, well, no, there shouldn't be. Nobody's reported anything. So, I think the issue there was they were on a well and they just didn't tell us. And if they'd have told us that from the beginning, it would have saved us a phone call.
Yeah. I mean, this water pressure got pretty low because, I'm pulling the nozzle to turn the water on at the sink in the kitchen, at the kitchen sink, and it's just trickling coming out of there. So this is not like, oh, this is the kind of low water pressure and you could just wave your hand at it. It was just barely coming out. So,
and it varied, right?
Yes.
I think the flow, the pressure was never very good.
No.
But it did get worse. So in its variability, it varied from bad to worse.
And then it goes from worse to really bad.
Yes, that is true. Yes. They also had an elevated sewer here, and that's always a problem with gravity. And then they had a high iron content in their water. They do tell you about that, though.
Yeah, they did tell you that.
Yes, this site pad, this was gravel, not the most level, and it did not have the best drainage. So like when it rained, especially that night of the storm, what was around us pretty much turned into a swamp.
Yeah.
You know, the grass did not have drainage in it. There was the water pits. The fire pits were filled up with water. So yeah.
And, I mean, we were basically parked in dirt.
Yeah.
The truck. And so anytime it rained, it was mud just trying to get in and out of the truck.
Yeah, there was not enough gravel on the surface for drainage and to her point, to not have it be muddy. There was shade in the park, but there was no shade in our particular spot. So if you went, out the door and went, to the right of where we were, there would be more shade trees there, but not where we were. Lot spacing. It was pretty ample. And it did have a lake view, the one that we were in. There were some spots that didn't have any view, and so, we had a lake view at ours. Wi-Fi and cell service. We used, it looks like Verizon and AT&T were not good. We were close enough to the city, but AT&T were not good, so we had to fire up the Starlink. And let's see, so laundry and shower facilities. This is where they tell you about the high iron content in the water. So there's actually a sign on the door of the laundry that says, wash your clothes in here, at your own risk, because the high iron content in the water will turn your clothes yellow. So if you like yellow, maybe that's your favorite color. Yeah, that's what happened there. It was coin operated. I never used it.
Like you didn't use laundry.
I did not.
Oh.
I never used that laundry. Remember, we went to a laundry.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I was
okay.
not getting ready to mess around with that raggedy. Because I don't know. Once you get that yellow in your clothes, can you get it out?
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, no. Okay, so actually, I think this was the place. I might be getting my cities confused, but yeah, we did go to a laundromat here. Okay, so other park amenities, like I said, there was a lake here, or a reservoir, fishing in the lake, community covered areas, a pool, rentals, paddle boats.
Did they have a?
They did.
They did have a pool.
They did have a
Because I
pool.
remember they had the splash area.
Yeah, but they did have a pool.
And then okay.
Yeah.
I just remember.
They had a big, it's kind of a weird thing. It was like a big sort of water thing and then like a fountain thing out of it.
Yeah,
And
but I
people were
thought
just
that was
splashing in the
lake
in the
or
water.
reservoir, whatever it was.
No, that was separate from
Okay.
there was the lake, there was the splash thing, and then there was the pool. Yes. So the thing about this with the dumpsters, the dumpsters were quite a bit away from where we were. They were by the office and they were only in the front of the RV park. So that made for things to be a little challenging as far as, just distance.
I mean, it was a good walk to just walk your trash down there and back.
Definitely.
That is a long walk.
It was convenient when we were on our way out driving somewhere, but
Yeah.
I mean, it really wasn't even convenient for that. But
Yeah, because you had to kind of go out of the way to get to it.
But
yeah.
but I mean, if you just needed some steps and you wanted to just get a nice walk in, it was a good little
It was a
walk.
good little walk, yeah. They did do
Speed check
propane
reported
sales
ahead
here.
on I-17
It looked like there was a few residents and workers here. Like, it was really interesting. Like, I think there were people that lived in the park. Like, these weren't like seasonal people, I don't think, because it seemed like there'd be like commuting times. Like, people would get up in the morning, go to work, and come back. So, just something to know about the park.
Well, we know, and even our neighbor, and I forget his name, and his wife.
Yes.
I mean, they were there specifically. I think he was on a.
It was Jesse. His name was Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah.
He was like a
driller
or something.
Yeah.
He was in drilling.
Yeah.
And so they had a contract. There was a bunch of them there.
That's true.
For that contract. And then, remember, he was, because we talked to him a few times, they were waiting to find out toward the end there when they were going to get moved. And sure enough, he got orders for his next contract. Because I think they were I think their house was in Arkansas.
Oh.
And they were there on a contract. And that's what they did. They just moved around. So there was quite a few people, I think, there
doing that
kind of work.
Yeah. Let's see, pet friendly. So no poop cans or the doggy bags. They did have a few blue cans around the area, like out by the little dock and a couple of other spots in the park, so you can use those. We did use a service while we were here we used a Camp Bow Wow. service.
Oh, a dog boarding service.
Dog boarding service, yes, and that was a very nice service that we used. I think that's when we went into Chicago for the weekend.
Speed check reported ahead on I-17 South.
Yes, speed check. Okay, so the next thing is park management. So the whole situation with the not mentioning the 248 exit and the road closure, that's a little bit, to me, that can really create, you know, when people are coming in, they're bringing big rigs, they've been driving all day. It's just, I mean, it's just such a simple thing to let somebody know that. So that I found challenging. Since we did have that weather event with the tornado, we did go into the storm shelter. There was no staff available. I guess the door was just open. They did come later, but you know, when we were in there, and there were a lot of people in this storm shelter, different from some of the other ones we had been in. Yeah. So there wasn't a whole lot of communication when the water went out. And what else? Oh, and they had some really weird office hours, really late, like almost noon is when they would open. And then I can't tell if they closed at 6 or what it was, but just a few issues with the park management, just something to know if you're going in. Anything you can think of about that?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay. Nearby attractions. The city of Chicago. So it was great to be in this location. How far was it? Oh, we took the train in to the city.
We took the train in when we spent the night, when we actually went to Chicago, but when we did some driving around too.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it was easy enough to we took an Uber out of the campground
over to the
train station.
Yes.
And then we caught a train into Chicago. That was actually quite nice.
That was very nice. And we stayed the weekend and just walked around in downtown and got to the end of Route 66. We'll put that photo up there. Went to the museum. The museum was amazing. Yes. Yes. And there were some great exhibits there. So that was really great. And then, you know, we did some of the Route 66 stuff. So stopped at the hot dog stand and, you know, and just kind of really walked around the city. We did a lot of walking.
Yeah, we did a lot of walking.
Yeah, we did a lot of walking.
Remember we walked to that one restaurant that was all the way on the north, was it called North End or something? Remember that one restaurant where it was actually good food, but we didn't know how far away it was. Remember because we asked the guy, that was the thing, we asked the guy at the front desk in the hotel about good recommendations because we said we were looking for sushi.
The riverfront place. On the riverfront. Yeah, that was like practically walking across town.
Yeah, he said he kind of made it sound like it wasn't that far.
It was really far.
Yeah, he wouldn't have wanted to walk it.
No.
That is a long walk.
No, it was
it was a good walk.
But we did find, when we went to, it was called River North. That was the area, which was very nice. The restaurant was good. Yes. And then we found a fabulous donut bar with some delicious coffee. Yep. Yes. What was the name of that coffee? Sparrow Coffee. Oh my goodness, delicious. Yeah, so that was a great night. Yeah,
that was a great weekend.
Serious walk. Oh, it was. Yeah. Oh, we took the boat ride and everything too.
Yeah, we took the boat ride around Chicago.
Yeah.
Are we talking about special moments?
No, I know. I'm just diving.
We've already named all the special moments.
It was a great trip, and you know, this was just a really great way to end up Route 66. So yeah, so the nearby attractions, like we said, Chicago. We did some Let's Roam. We did a Let's Roam in Joliet. We did one. Looks like in Lockport. Remember there was a great coffee shop in Lockport. We did that route. We did that. Let's Roam there too.
Because we wanted to go back and spend more time over there.
We did at that little coffee shop.
That little coffee place. Yeah. We was at that coffee place twice.
Twice, yes. Yeah, and we just did the Route 66 stuff. So special moments. Some of them we've talked about already. Doing the Let's Roams. This, you know, just hanging out. I mean, is it special to be in the storm shelter? Yes, because you're safe and you're okay. The national park, we actually went to Indiana Dunes from this location, so that was great. And that was our third Sand Dunes National Park to that point, because we had done the Great Sand Dunes in Colorado, we did the White Sand Dunes in New Mexico, and then the Indiana Dunes, which was a lovely park.
Yeah, it was really nice because we didn't know really what to expect. It's a huge park.
It's a huge
park system.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. We didn't get to spend a ton of time there because it was a pretty good drive.
It's a pretty good drive.
Where we were.
Yeah.
But we did go out there and walk down to the pier and looked around.
Yeah.
So it was a nice park.
Yeah. It was really...
And a nice visitor center.
It was a very nice visitor center. I really wish we could have, because we were only there for like one day. So it would have really been nice to, because usually what we like to do in the national park is we like to come in, get to the visitor center, you know, ask some questions, get a lay of the land. If there is a guide along, which is the what would you call that? The guided audio
tour.
We like to do that if that's available, kind of get the lay of the land, and then come back and do hikes and stuff like that, on a different occasion. But in this, we did, as much as we could. Yeah, we didn't have enough time. We didn't have a whole lot of time. Yeah. Let's see what other special moments we have. So we talked about the weekend in the city. So one of my sorority sisters, Jamie, came to visit. She and her husband Torrance have lived in the Chicago area for quite a long time, and so we had a very lovely visit. And this was actually before the pivot,
right?
And before the need for the pivot. We'll put that video in there. Yes, yeah. So she saved us big time, helping us out when we had to put the RV in the shop. And then we talked about the national parks. Let's see what else. Top 3, bottom 3. Here we are.
Hey, top 3. I don't remember what we said. Probably proximity to Chicago, maybe?
Yes, absolutely. Proximity. So the location of this RV park and being able to get around to the Route 66 activities, get down to do the Let's Roam at these different cities, and to get to the end of Route 66.
Joliet is on Route 66. There was a lot to see there.
Yes, there's a ton to see.
So yeah, it was great for wrapping up Route 66.
And this RV park was close to Joliet.
Oh,
it was like, what, 20 minutes?
Closer to Joliet
than it was to Chicago. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So that was really great. The RV park had a lake view, so it was nice. The ambiance of the lake view was lovely. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time coming up with 3.
Oh, she's giving it away. So there was some good food. As you can imagine, being around in the Chicago area, you're going to have some good eats. We had some good Chicago-style pizza. And remember that Mediterranean type place that we went to that was next to the pizza place? That was good, too. Yeah, and actually, we got that tip to go to that Mediterranean place. I can't think of the name of it. I'll try to remember the name. We'll put it up on the screen. We watched another channel. Remember we watched that other channel, and they said, they were at this Lakeview, the Leisure Lake Member Resort RV Park also, and they mentioned that place, so that's how we went to that restaurant. Really yummy. Bottom 3.
Water pressure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing that was crazy. So oftentimes these RV parks are located, near a road. And we're not typically bothered by road noise. But this particular one, I have road noise at the top of the bottom 3 because we were in between, like I said, we were in between Interstate 80 and 55. And right there at that junction where how you have bridge transitions. Every time a semi went over that bridge transition, it would sound like, that does not look good over there, poor guy. It would just sound like the whole bridge was ready to crack open. It was terrible. Between the road noise, the bridge transition,
and I'm almost thinking, did it not shake
shaking
the ground?
Yes.
I think to some degree.
Yes.
It was weird. It was
very weird.
We've been in places where we've been close to freeways.
Totally.
It's
never been like that.
And we've never noticed anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think that partly, I don't know if it would be different on the other side of the park, because it's a pretty big park.
Yeah.
And the camp spaces go around the lake. So maybe in a different area it might not be as bad, but it was kind of bad where we were.
It really was. And then those truckers were using those exhaust brakes, Jake brakes, whatever you want to call it, engine brakes, and that noise just went on and on and on and on. And it was just nuts. So so this park, goodness gracious, listen.
Did we already go through 3?
Yeah, we did the road noise, the water pressure, and the elevated sewer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the elevated sewer. Elevated sewer is never a smart thing. Hello, people. Gravity needs to work, right? And the RV is already up in the air, so if the elevated sewer is too high, then instead of your sewer hose going like this, it's like this or up. Anyway.
Not fun.
Are we giving this? If you can see my notes here, kind of a mess, but lots of thumbs down on this. Because access and road issues were a problem. The hookups with the water pressure and the site pad were all
right, because I was going to say the site pad should have been in the bottom 3 too.
It should have been the swamp.
The swamp, so yeah, I think we
For those reasons.
For those reasons,
we have to give this one a thumbs
give it a
down.
thumbs down.
Yeah. Now, you're welcome to do your own research. You're welcome to go to this park and enjoy yourself and enjoy all the things. The reason we give these campground reviews the way we do is so that you know what to expect. I mean, when we come into these campgrounds, if we've seen in a campground review, or we've looked at scoured all the TripAdvisor and all the RV Life reviews and everything, we have some sense about what to expect, but this is a true lived experience here, and we're sharing it with you.
Yeah, and I mean, your experience might be completely different.
It might be completely different.
But this is, this was our experience. And if you have an RV about the same size as ours,
Just good to know.
These are the things you might expect.
Right, exactly. So if you have been to this RV park, and what was your experience like? Or if you found another RV park in the Chicago surrounding area that is
near
big
Route
rig friendly,
66.
near Route 66, we would love to know about that. We would love to know about that. Share your experiences. We love hearing from you guys. We've had some comments about some harvest hosts and campground reviews. Hilarious.
Funny stuff.
Yeah, we know this RV community. We sure appreciate you sharing. Like, subscribe, share, pick up our ebook. We'll put a QR code up here for our ebook. Our Route 66 ebook is chock full of our entire route, step by step, plus tips and strategies to do and have the best experience doing Route 66 no matter what time of year you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some pictures in there also. So thank you for hanging out. Anything else you can think of?
No, I think that's good.
I think that covers it. Thank you for hanging out, folks. We sure appreciate you. And we will see you at the next stop. Bye.
But there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going to meet, who you're going Because you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going to meet.